Before I understood the role of composition in pet portraits, my portraits were often busy, uninteresting, and sometimes disproportionate. So here are 4 ways to harness the power of composition in your pet portraits. The first is pretty obvious, but also super important. You want to make sure that your drawing has accurate proportions. And you want to make sure your subject ends up on the page or the surface of your painting where you want it to. I do this by tracing my image onto my paper using the window transfer method. I have a video sharing all about how I do that. Some people like to use apps. There's apps you can use on your phone. I've tried that and I found that it can be hard to line it up perfectly when you use an app. So just make sure you take the extra time you need to do that so it doesn't get skewed. Sometimes you'll get clients that will send you photos, or you'll have a photo that isn't actually accurate in terms of proportions. It's already kind of skewed, that you will have to fix before you trace it onto your painting surface. I received this picture of Wilson that I wanted to paint for a client, and I had to actually edit it, skew it a little bit back to normal in Photoshop before I traced it onto my painting paper. Another big advantage of tracing is that you get to place the subject on your painting surface exactly where you want it before you start drawing, so you don't get it off center or too centered or run out of room or anything like that. Number 2, choose an expressive, interesting reference photo if you can. It's not always possible, but if you can, do it. For this painting of Reba that I did, I actually probably took about 20 photos of her before I landed on this one because I really wanted it to be expressive. So if you can, choose a photo that just makes you see the personality or some kind of aspect of the subject that you're trying to convey. Number 3, consider simplifying your backgrounds. Watercolor is amazing because you don't have to work that hard to make a beautiful, expressive, blurry, fluid background that doesn't take away from the subject itself. In these examples, I'm just harnessing the power of watercolor to run and bloom and splatter. So that's typically all I do for my backgrounds now, and it works for me. I really like it, and I also recommend it. My final tip for you is just to carefully consider your use of props in your pet portrait work. It doesn't mean that you never should include props. So sometimes I feel like they do enhance the expression and the personality of the subject you're painting. I found that they can be difficult though if you don't necessarily know the techniques you need to use to paint them. If you've never painted like a tennis ball before or a shiny glass bowl, it can look off compared to the rest of your painting. And I find that it can distract your viewer's attention from the subject itself. Again, this isn't always the case, so just think about it before you add it in. Norhan wants you to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful for you, and subscribe and turn on the notifications, whatever you need to do if you love to paint watercolor pet portraits as much as I do. Thanks for watching and happy painting.